Hi, this is Aaron Wilson for KPRC2 Sports. I'm at Lambeau Field, the historic stadium where the Texans lost 24-22. A narrow defeat on a last-second field goal from Brandon McManus. And the Texans squandered a lot of opportunities. They had this football game right there. They kick a field goal with Kaimi Fairburn. They left the Packers with too much time on the clock and perhaps second guessing, and that's what we do in this profession sometimes. Perhaps they should have run the ball a little more, run some more clock, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. And the Texans' 4-game winning streak is snapped. They dropped to 5-2. They lose for the second time to the NFC North club. This time they were much more competitive than they were against the Minnesota Vikings. I think that the Texans can be a very good football team, as Joe Mixon said, but they're their own worst enemy. And offensively, so many problems today. You look at the blitzes and the stunts, very aggressive and clever by the Packers defensive coordinator, what he dialed up, especially with linebacker Eric Wilson, constantly in the Texans backfield. No relation to me, Eric by a different mother, another Wilson, but good nonetheless. So when you look at what happened today, they had a lot of pressure up the middle, they had a lot of delayed stuff, a lot of communication issues, things that are fixable, but it all led to no passing game despite having Pro Bowl quarterback C.J. Stroud. You look at what happened, he had 55 net yards because he was sacked 4 times, he was hit 7 times, and that took away any rhythm and chemistry. There was very little passing to the wide receivers, with the exception of Stephon Diggs, and there was one other catch by wide receiver, and that was by Xavier Hutchinson. Perhaps it should involve Hutchinson more, and tight end Dalton Schultz, the longest reception of the day, 28 yards. They squandered also a lot of opportunities with short fields where they didn't capitalize on turnovers. They were +3 in turnover margin, and yet the game was still so close. You look at what they did with Joe Mixon. That was one of the biggest bright spots of this game for the Texans. Joe running for 120 yards, scoring a couple of touchdowns, and really just having his way with the Packers defense that is very stout, very stingy against the run, but you still saw the success. I think with Joe Mixon as the bell cow, if they can fix some of these pass protection issues, the Texans can put it together. Obviously, they miss Nico Collins. They are a bit one-dimensional without Nico because there's Stephon Diggs, and today they tried to throw it to Tank Dell. He did have a drop touchdown. They go 0 for 3 on targets to Tank. And C.J. Stroud was frustrated with how this happened after the game. Before the game, there were some fireworks. Stephon Diggs, his bad blood, his long track record of having history with Jair Alexander, the Packers corner, he's had a lot of success against over the years, going back to his days with the Vikings and with the Buffalo Bills. They exchanged words, and Stephon said, somebody was chirping at me, and I'm not going to stand for it, and he stood up for himself. And cooler heads prevailed. They didn't fight, but a little spicy start to the game before kickoff here at Lambeau Field, where the Texans lost 24-22. They now get ready for the Indianapolis Colts. They're coming back, trying to fix some of these mistakes, and there's a lot of football left, as Laramie Tunsil emphasized to me, and a lot of the other guys in the locker room, that the Texans can grow from this, learn from this, and get better, and the next time they're in this situation, have a better outcome. D'Amico Ryans made no excuses for being shorthanded on defense. They played without Azeez Al-Shaair. They played without having their other starting linebacker, Henry To'oTo'o, who is in the concussion protocol. They did this without having Jimmy Ward and Kamari Lassiter. D'Angelo Ross at corner allowed 1 touchdown. For the most part, held up, had a decent day. They picked off Jordan Love a couple of times. On defense, another guy to single out, their rookie safety, Kalen Bullock. 3 interceptions to lead the team, and he's off to a very fast start to his career, the 3rd-round pick from USC, as was Kamari Lassiter before he suffered a scapular fracture. Looked like they made it out of the game relatively unscathed in terms of injuries. Titus Howard went out, went back in, and so the Texans head back to Houston tonight after this very frustrating setback at Lambeau Field, where the Packers win 24-22. Reporting for KPRC2 Sports, I'm Aaron Wilson.